Hi, everybody. It's Mr. Johnson here, and today we're talking about the artist Banksy. So, if you are one of my students, make sure that you have your sketchbook, your artist images, scissors, glue stick, and a writing utensil so we can dive in talking about this artist in our artist gallery episode. So, I think Banksy is really, really cool. I hope you enjoy learning a bit about him. As much as we know about him, there's a lot that's still up in the air, but I do find it very, very interesting. So I hope that you enjoy learning quite a bit about him. Again, my students, make sure you're cutting and pasting your Banksy images into your sketchbook and labeling them with the text that appears up on the screen. So let's dive in to Banksy, shall we? Banksy is a street artist known for his graffiti-style paintings. He is from the United Kingdom. He was born in 1974 in Bristol, in England, and he is anonymous. He goes by the name Banksy, but we're not positive as to his real identity. Now, there are a lot of speculations about who Banksy really is. The most common is that he is a man named Robin Gunningham, who again is a British artist, and he is most widely believed to be Banksy, although it's still unconfirmed. And there is a short list of other people, about 4 or 5 other artists who Banksy could be or could be working with Banksy. Perhaps it's more than one person working together. But Robin Gunningham is the name at the top of the list that most people think it could be. Someone did a search into Robin Gunningham's travel history, and it found that when he, flew to New York, there were then new Banksy paintings in New York, and when he flew to, England, there were new Banksy paintings in England. So they think it's likely that it's him. Banksy has said that he's happy that he's anonymous. I mean, most of his artwork is illegal. It's beautiful, being these paintings on the sides of buildings, but that is illegal to do graffiti art. So yeah, he is certainly happy that his identity is unverified. A lot of his artwork is humorous, sometimes political, and he's definitely one of the most popular graffiti artists of our time. He has a short film out, some books out, so obviously his publishers and the art dealer that he works with, they all know who he really is. But as far as the public goes, it is still unconfirmed. Banksy has said that he started art at age 14. He had a bit of a troubled childhood. He was expelled from school as a teenager, and he also faced time in jail, some prison time for petty crime, also in his late teenage years. So he started out with kind of a rough beginning, and now he's a world-famous graffiti artist. So let's take a look at some of his artworks. These are some of my favorites. I'm going to minimize myself over here. All right, so this is the first image that you should have for your artist gallery page for my classes. This is called Sweep It Under the Carpet. It was painted in 2006 on the side of a building in London, and it's created with spray paint. Banksy, very quickly into his graffiti art, realized that using stencils would allow him to create larger works very, very quickly. It also limited the amount of time he had to spend in a space, which meant that it was less likely that he'd be seen or caught. So Banksy creates these large stencils that he uses, and he makes those ahead of time so he can get to his location, prop up the stencil, spray in all of his areas of the design, and in just a few minutes you have this whole picture up there. So the black part, right, that's all one stencil, and it's of this woman dressed in a maid costume. And she is what appears to be lifting up the white paint on the side of the building, and then she's going to toss the trash from that dustbin, underneath the paint of the building, which I think is really, really clever. I'm going to remove the text for a second. The building this is painted on is white brick. So the white color that we see in the background, that is the actual building. The painted bricks at the bottom, that was part of Banksy's painting. He painted those red to create the illusion that this woman is lifting the white paint off of the wall, which I think is beautifully done here with the spray paint, allowing those colors to fade, make nice shadows. So I think that's great. This piece is really about how people don't like to deal with big issues, and we like to just kind of hide them away, not really focus on them. So, like, if instead of cleaning something up off the floor, you sweep it under the rug. It's this idea of dealing with big problems that often we don't want to focus on. This did have to deal a lot with AIDS pandemic and things like that he said people weren't really focusing on when they ought to be. This one is a really cool one. This is called Rage the Flower Thrower, painted in 2005. And this is located in Jerusalem. This is on a wall that separates Israel and Pakistan. On this wall, so he goes to Jerusalem, and Banksy paints this, and I'm sorry, Palestine, not Pakistan. That's wrong. Israel and Palestine. Pretend we could go back and I edited that, but I'm not going to. So Israel and Palestine, on this wall that separates it, Banksy visited the wall and he does this painting of a rioter, which would be seen there, right, on a daily basis. This area of Israel and Pakistan fighting over the borders. This battle has been going on for a very, very long time. It's still happening. There's still violence and war there to determine, where the city of Jerusalem falls and where the borders of Israel and Palestine, where they separate. So he goes and he paints this image, again, just done black and white, so you can hold up a stencil, spray it in very, very quickly. And so this rider, he's got a hat on and this mask up over his face, which obviously is definitely relevant here in 2021, even though this was done, 16 years ago. But it's, to hide the identity of this protester, this rioter. And although it would be someone who might be throwing a brick or a Molotov cocktail or tear gas, here Banksy has replaced the weapon in the figure's hand with a beautiful bouquet of flowers. The flowers are the only element in color that really draws our eye over there. And this is really about being peaceful instead of violent, right? Using peace to solve problems instead of violence, giving this man who would be, angry, throwing a brick or throwing a bomb, here a beautiful bouquet of flowers to throw instead. I have two here that you don't have for your images for my class. This is called Shop Until You Drop from 2011. And I love this. There's a window above here, so it looks like this woman, the shopping cart has gone right out the window and is now falling down the side of the building. I mean, if this were real, that would really hurt if she hit the ground. But I love this. It's really about consumerism here, like not willing to let go of that shopping cart as it falls down the side of the building, with this bottle, a necklace, apple, and a couple of other items in here, that she just couldn't let go of it as it was falling. But I love the way that he's shown the hair, right, as it's moving up as she's falling down. I think that's pretty cool. This is also one that you don't have in my students with your art packets. This is called Girl and a Soldier from 2007. Again, very much an anti-war piece about here how innocents are in the way and war is taking place in populated areas with children. So you have this little girl who's patting down this armed soldier, which is obviously an image that you don't really see in real life, but it's kind of talking about how these war-torn areas are right in the middle of populated places with young children. So I find that very interesting. But this, I'm going to move myself down here, I guess. This is Banksy's most famous image, I believe, called There Is Always Hope. So There Is Always Hope. This one was painted in 2002. It's nicknamed here Girl with Balloon. Banksy has created this image multiple times in different settings. And I think this is interesting because you have the image here on the left of the girl, which is painted in black, with her arm extended towards this red heart balloon. And then the title is written over on the right. He writes the title right on the wall, There Is Always Hope. And so the red balloon here symbolizes the hope. And this girl is reaching out for it. Now, you can see that the wind is blowing from behind her. It's blowing towards the right. Her dress moves forward. Her hair is billowing that way. Right, the balloon is moving that way. So the wind is blowing the balloon away from the girl, but she's still reaching out. So hope is within reach, even though it's moving. Right, so I don't know if she's going to catch it or not. It's very close. So I find that very interesting. We don't know if she's getting the hope, right, or if we're just saying hope is there, it's within reach. Just you got to go for it. So I love the message behind this. Now Banksy has used this image of the girl with her arm extended towards the red balloon multiple times in his artwork. The one that is the most famous was in the news just a few years ago in 2018 when Banksy created a painted version of this in a frame that was sold at auction at Sotheby's. Now, Sotheby's is an English auction house where they sell all these incredible, objects from Monet paintings and Leonardo da Vinci artwork. So very, very high class auction house. And Banksy sold this painting and it went for about $1.4 million. And right after it was sold, the painting shredded itself. And it was all over the news. So I'm going to play for you a clip here of what happened. Right, this is right from the news when the Banksy artwork shredded itself after the auction. So check this out.
Art connoisseurs could only watch in horror as an expensive piece was shredded before their eyes. No sooner did the gavel come down to mark the sale of Banksy's Girl with Balloon for a record $1.4 million, did the picture start to slip out of its frame into shreds below. The anonymous artist claims to be behind the stunt. On Instagram, he posted a photo of his prank with the caption, "Going, going, gone." In a later post, he explained how he did it. And it seems this stunt was years in the making. He claims he built the shredder into the painting's frame in case it ever sold at auction.
400,000, 400,000, 600,000, she'll bid 600,000. Last chance. And selling for 860,000.
Witnesses couldn't believe what they were seeing. We can only imagine what the buyer was thinking. The person's identity hasn't been revealed. Sotheby's claims it was shocked by the stunt. The auction house is also trying to figure out what this means for the value of the painting. Considering the artist, who is known for using his craft to pull pranks and make ideological points, some artists speculate the value of Girl with Balloon could actually soar. For InsideEdition.com, I'm Mara Montalbano.
Isn't that great? So now you have this this artwork that is a half shredded painting, right? So the top half of it sits in the frame and the bottom half is just shreds of canvas dangling down. So Banksy had this planned years in advance. He built the shredder into the frame with this painting just in case it ever sold. So he was waiting. It operated on a remote control. So Banksy himself was in the auction room, we believe, so that he could trigger this to shred right after someone buys it. Now, the woman who bought it, she was given the option by Sotheby's to continue with the purchase or to walk away if she didn't want to buy it anymore because it was now different than what she had originally spent her money on. But she said she wanted to buy it. And now this painting that went for $1.4 million when she purchased it, that shredded itself like this, is now rumored to be worth around $2 million. And it almost doubled in price. And that's because people say Banksy didn't destroy an artwork during the auction. He made a new one. So the idea here is that this is worth a lot of money now, not because people want a half-shredded painting, but because this is a unique art object that has never been done before in the history of art. So it's something that is original, that is a one-of-a-kind, which is almost impossible to find in the art world now. Nothing like this has ever been done before. Nothing like it probably ever will be done again. So it is a one-of-a-kind art piece. And that is what has increased its value so much after the shredding happened. Banksy also said, I think he posted it on his Instagram later as well, that he planned for the entire painting to shred right out of the frame. And it got jammed. He said he tested it with, practice pieces and it shredded them completely. So the fact that it's half in the frame and half shredded was not the original plan, but it does look pretty cool. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then the final image that you have for Banksy, again, is not one that you need to include, but I just think it's great. It talks a lot about our time. It's called Mobile Lovers from 2014, and it shows two people in a close embrace but instead of looking at each other, they're looking at their phones over the other person's shoulder. So they're hugging, but they're both just scrolling on their phones. I think that talks a lot about, our culture and society today. So when my students complete your artist gallery page, you can take a photo of it and add it to the assignment like we always do. Make sure you have the pictures in there and the notes with it. And then in the text box, answer this journal question. Do you think the presentation of Banksy's art on buildings and in the street influences the way people think about it? Why or why not? Right? Do you think that there is a difference between seeing his art on buildings outdoors, or if it would be different hanging in a museum, right? Does that affect the way you think about his art if it were in a museum versus on the side of a building on the street? So let me know what you think. Again, if you enjoy Banksy and his work, you can Google him, look at him on Instagram. He has tons and tons more works that I didn't get to mention, so please take a look at those. And I'm excited to see what you have to say about his work.